Hi everyone. Welcome to today's session of the Human Resource Development training. So at this time, we're going to be considering the last section of the training, which is on um, learning, training, and development. So in this training thus far, we've considered the basic introduction to human resource management. Then we went on to talk about um, HR planning, that's human resource planning, and job analysis, considered job description, job specification. Then we also considered job design. Um, Yesterday, we went on to talk about recruitment. We talked about selection, and we talked about test administration, onboard placement, and onboarding. So these are the things that we considered yesterday. And today, we're going to be considering um, the later part of it, which is learning and development. So we'll just go ahead to discuss more detailedly into it. So please, if um, if you cannot hear me, or if you're having network issues, man, just try as much as possible to turn on and turn off your network, so at least that will be very much the network can connect easily. Then if you can also check for your audio as well to ensure that you can hear me perfectly well. That's also done that on our end here. So I'll just continue straight into the session for today, and we're talking about learning and development. And in today's scope of learning, um, there are basic things that we're going to be talking about. The scope of things that we're going to discuss will border around training, training needs assessment, and the importance of training. We'll also go on to talk about the types of training, which include on-the-job training and off-the-job training. So we will also, that is why considering that, we'll talk about the methods as well. So considering the on-the-job training and the methods, consider off-the-job training and the methods as well. Then we're going to be concluding this part of the training with career planning, right? Career planning, importance, and the process of career planning. So that said, I'll just go straight into the session to discuss details of the training. Okay, now let's go ahead to talk about training. What exactly is training, and what should we bother about it? So now, training practically is an organized activity for increasing the knowledge and skills of people during that is doing a particular job. Now, if in a nutshell, so we'll say that training is all about when we upskill people, upskill their knowledge about something, or upskill their ability on something in order to exact. I'm talking about on something. I'm talking about on a particular job to effectively function well on something, on a particular job, or to effectively execute a task. That's practically what training is about. So we will say we have trained people when we have successfully upskilled their ability, upskilled them, and increased their ability or their capacity to function effectively well in discharging a certain task, in discharging certain tasks or responsibilities. So that's what we can say that training has been done. So training is a short term, of course, a short term of educational process which utilizes systemic and organized procedures for employees to learn technical knowledge or skills for definite purposes. Okay, so now there's a goal for which training is. So we don't just train because we want to train. We're training because we want to we want to not just understand but also upskill, gain capacity to function adequately in line with what we are training for. Uh, will represent as purpose. So I think that said, in a nutshell, we've understood what training means. It's just about upskilling, increasing knowledge, right? Increasing capacity, competence. That's what training is about with regards to something specific. That's a specific job, role, responsibility, task, whatever it is. That's what training is all about. And there's always the objective for training, of course. So there's always objective, and we're going to be analyzing key five key major objectives of training within a workplace. Because when we're talking about when we're considering training here, we're considering training from the workplace perspective here. So now, training. One of the objectives of training includes building employee attitude, right? Employee attitude, cooperation, and loyalty. Now, when people are employed into the organization, it's imperative that the organization takes further steps and measures to ensure that attitudes from where they are coming from is corrected. Of course, they have there is a place where these people are coming from, and which culture and character may not align with that of the organizational culture and character. So it means that they have to be a retraining. So the people have to unlearn all that they have learned, all they've been practicing, and relearn again. So there's the process of learning and unlearning and relearning. So that's so in order to foster cooperation, because if there's a clash in character and attitude or culture, then there's going to be difficulty with cooperation. People cannot cooperate effectively well within the workspace, which will ultimately destroy loyalty, or would win loyalty, or make them unloyal to the organization. And at the end of the day, the organization suffers for it, and they in turn also suffer, because when the organization suffers, there's tendency for organization to either retrench, make their staffs resign, and the rest of that. So, but that's one of the major reasons why people are trained, so that there is proper synergy and everything is working effectively well. Now, another objective with training, that's on training, includes to equip employee with the basic skills to perform as a specific task. Now, if a specific task is given to an employee, now before it is given, before it is given, possibly maybe it is given in hope that the employee is going to learn or already has the skill. So if they already have the skill, of course, like experienced hires, it means they do not require that level of training anymore. They don't require training anymore. They are coming in with experience. They already know that thing that's supposed to be trained on. So they already know it. They're coming in as experienced hires. Now, inexperienced hires, it means they will have to skill their knowledge, skill their ability, skill their competence, and their capacity to function effectively well on that given role. That's where training also comes in. So it means training would help new hires to upskill their skill, and also to perform effectively well on a given role. Then, thirdly, uh, training develop leaders. So, in order to develop leaders, supervisors, managers, and the rest of them, the managers that we have today in any organization, so be it supervisors, um, uh, just every single leader are functioning as supervisors, managers, or whatever, in whatever capacity that they are functioning within the workspace. They were trained by the organization, right? They were trained by the organization. There are a lot of things that some of them are on the job training, so they were trained by the organization to function effectively well in that capacity, and that's why they are doing their job. That's why they have become leaders in that space. So training practically means training also is targeted towards making out leaders out of people. That's what training does. Now, another form or another perspective to this is when people are promoted. Now, maybe people are promoted, maybe they are promoted to leadership positions. They are sent on leadership trainings, right? So they sent on leadership trainings such that in order to imbibe the leadership qualities, leadership capacities, in order for them to skill their leadership capacity and function effectively well on those roles. Oftentimes, we see leaders, people who are promoted into certain leadership role, and they flop. This is because they were left on their own. There were no adequate backup training to help them effectively occupy that position and function adequately. That is that. Then we'll go on to talk about the other one, the fourth on the list. Fourth on the list of objectives. It makes employees more effective and productive, which increases their earning power and job security. So now, if employees are trained, it practically means that they are going to be more effective on their job role, and they are also going to be very productive, which will increase their job security. If employees are productive and very highly effective on their role, of course, there will be no need for them to be replaced. Rather, they will gain promotion. They will continue to grow and grow in ranks in the organization. So that is that. Then and last on the list of the objectives that we just have mapped out here includes that it exposes employees to latest concepts, right? Information and techniques or technologies. So now, if there are new developments, new technologies on how to do a thing, so what training does is that it exposes these employees to do these things effectively or to function in that or to function with that technology, to or have that information or to function with that concept. Today, in today's world where AI is also being integrated into workspaces, so it means that when trainings are conducted for employees to function adequately with AI, so it practically means that now they've been upskilled to function with this technology. So for employees who are yet to be unskilled, who are yet to be skilled up to function effectively well with AI technology, so it means that they are somewhat a bit behind with the current day technology. So this is what I said. That is if it actually applies to their job role. If it doesn't apply to their job role, then it has nothing to do with them. But we see AI practically cutting across every sphere of life. Now, what practically the needs and why should we even bother to train in the first instance? Of course, we might say, this is there's no of course it's highly important for organizations to train their staff. Yes, but as HR personnel, it's important that we understand why it is important that organizations train their personnel, which is which is why we also ensure we encourage the HR personnel to provide adequate reports to their management or to their bosses or maybe the head of HR. So the head, if you're not the head of HR, of course, so it will provide those adequate information to the head of HR so that they can go ahead and inform the management what the importance. Of course, there are basic assessments that back up those information. Don't just come up and say that it is important to train at this time. Why are you saying that? Because you must give your evidence why it is important to train. Because training actually requires investment. It comes with capital. And what is going to be the return on investment should that organization embark on that training to upskill their workforce, right? So that is that. Let's just go ahead to talk about that. Now, among the list of importance of training, now it matches the employee's specification with the job requirements and the organizational needs. So now we have a need as an organization. This is what we want our staff to be able to do. This is this is the level of excellence that we want them to maintain on their job role. So if they are not maintaining that level of excellence, so it practically means that we will have to train them. So now, in a nutshell, that first point that I just made, which is matching employees with specifications. So a specification has been set. So if we're bringing these people, we want to scale them up, we want to make them match up with the specification that has been given for that job. Now, take for instance that we are hiring graduate engineers who are going to be manning machines. Take for instance, they're going to be manning production machines like CNC machines. So I was saying, okay, if these people are going to be manning these machines, do they have the experience? They practically do not have that experience. We might say, okay, maybe they went on IT training, or maybe during the NYC they had some very little experience. So if those training are not yet sufficient, right? They are not yet sufficient for them to effectively manage that machines. And even if they already have postgraduate experience, the question is, can we entrust them with machines costing billions of naira so that they can just do trial and error? Also, we just believe that they can do it. No, we can't take the organization cannot take that risk of assigning machines to them. I say, okay, manage the machine or man the machine. Okay, we just since you did mechanical engineering, just go ahead and operate the machine. So that's not how it works. So we have a specification. So if we're saying that the specification is this, okay, if we want to use fresh graduates, if we're going to be using fresh graduates or that's even post, okay, let's start with the fresh graduates. We're going to be using fresh graduates. Now, those fresh graduates, it means that we're going to have to train them to effectively man those machines that we want to assign to them. Now, but if the specification says, this quality of machine, this type of machine that we have is very expensive, or maintaining it or servicing it or repairing this machine costs so much resources. So it requires highly experienced technicians or highly experienced engineers to man them. So we're saying, okay, at least a minimum of 5 years or a minimum of 10 years. Someone who have engineering experience with a minimum of 10 years in practice, not just in practice. So now what we're saying is we are now going to be looking for people with that experience. So even when we have find people with that engineering experience, we want to ascertain, do they have this skills level? So the specification I said is 10 years, and they should be able to man this machine. They should be able to um, do proper troubleshooting. They should be able to handle repairs or advise on repairs. So in that, we are breaking this person in, and we're saying, okay, during the interview, during the course of selection, we're saying, okay, can this person do this? If we have selected this person, we still have to run some basic trainings to ensure that we're not just putting ourselves to chance. We're not giving to chance. We're ensuring that we have done all that is required before that machine is aligned as that is allotted to such technician or technologies or technician to handle. Okay, I think that said, then more importantly, the essence of matching employees with specification is to ensure that we develop them and develop them and build their capacity, mold them into effectively functioning in order to meet the organization's needs. That's with regards to that technology. The other examples I would have cited, but we want us to manage time as much as possible. Still have a lot to discuss here. Okay, so now let's go ahead to talk about that's the second point with regards to the importance and the need for training. So organization, there's optional viability and as well as the transformation process. So now if we're looking to transform or to adapt to certain changes or to transform our processes or our systems using technology or using machines, it means that there will be need for training. I made mention of that while I was training yesterday. Talked about the need for training when we find out that okay, in the next 5 years we are envisaging that we're going to be acquiring new machines. So if we're going to be hiring new staffs, or if we're going to be hiring new staffs, take for instance, the machine is coming in the next 6 months, and we require people to take, maybe it's a new machine. We've not used them before within the work within our factory or within our plant. So our technicians, and I think this is just a new technology, right? It's an innovation, it's a new technology, and we are adopting it. So it means that our technicians would either have to that would definitely have to be trained, or we're going to be importing the technicians of the organization of the engineering company that we are buying these machines from to come and train our staff or to come and help us with it. So if we're not employing directly from them, maybe or employing an engineer from them to come and work here as expatriates while guiding our own technicians in order to learn that skill, it means that we may have to send ahead, since it is within 6 months the machines will be ready and will be the importation, everything, the clearing it will be in 6 months. So now what this means is that in order to meet up, we might practically have to send our technologists over there, either our engineers over there to go and train on that machine. So prior to the time the machine is getting here, they themselves have completed their training and they're coming back here to mount those machines. So that's one of the way. Of course, the essence is to ensure that's why we're trying to transform, or we are transforming our processes. We are practically prepared. So the machine is not just coming here and in order to remain redundant for the period. So when it now arrives, people are now going for the training. So during that process, who is going to be maintaining that machine? That's going to be a major issue. So we don't want that to play out. So that's one of the examples or one of the needs, the importance why it is that training have to be conducted. Then we'll talk about for technical advances. So now every organization, in order to survive or to be effective, should adopt latest technologies. Of course, there's mechanization, computerization, as well as automation. I also just talked about, I also delved into it by just making the example that I started discussing about the example in two. So in adopting latest technology, it means that the methods and as well as the methods are, and those who man those methods or who man those machines are going to be trained or skilled. This is exactly what I just discussed also in this section. So there'll be no point repeating them. Then we'll go on to talk about organizational complexity. So with organizational complexity, the more the organization begins to become much more complex. When we talk about complexity here now, we are making reference to mechanization, where now machines are beginning to come in, more and more machines, more and more automation. So we're beginning to automate, employ machines to do the job, and that's all to the major part of that is almost majority of the manufacturing processes are now being run or managed by machines. So it means it gives rise to the need for the organization to train the employees who are going to be manning that machines. So that's what it means. So the more organizations begins to transform and adopt mechanization, adopt technologies, adopt complexities, that's engineering complexities, it means that they have to train their staff for it in order to match that need that's going to, of course, it's a need, but it's growing. So we have to prepare our people up front. So that's that. Then we'll go ahead to also talk about human relations. So now, of course, the need for training is also part of to ensure that there's good human relations. Now, this practically is towards personnel management, and of course, it changes the commodity approach and partnership approach in cross relations with humans. That's cross-human relations. Now, what this would mean is that it helps the HR department and as well as the management department to effectively relate with its staff. This is more like where the managers or the leaders are taking for training. Of course, they continue to engage on leadership trainings or management trainings in order to function effectively well and maintain effective human relations instead of just the industrial approach or the just seeing people as tools to achieving or tools to an end. No, it shouldn't be that, but it should the human face, not to continuously maintain the human face. Yes, there are people have come to work, but we must also ensure that that human face is constantly there. That's one of the essence of training. So, what people are talking about now are the management staff or the supervisory and management staff. Okay, then also on the list is for that six on the list is change in job assignments. When people's job change, there's a need to also train them. Take for instance, like I was giving some examples a few days ago when we were talking about the job description. So now people who are currently doing a function in a particular role. Take for instance, they were storekeeper, so they were just function as storekeepers. Now they've been promoted to a procurement officer, or they even be super promoted to the supply chain manager or supply chain office or supply chain manager or officer. So in that capacity means that they're going to be handling both procurement, handling both supervising the store, overseeing of almost every single thing with regards to procurement and supplies. So in that, um, procurement and inventory. So with that, what would happen is that they will need to be trained, of course, trained so that they can be adequately upskilled in order to function effectively well on those roles. So that way, it's not like the promotion is that's why where some this is the reason why some promotion may become like a setup for some people, because it's as though they've been set up to fail because they do not have the adequate capacity to function on those roles. There's some people who have gotten promotions, and after a while in that promotion, they get sacked or they get relieved of their duties just because they were not prepared enough to handle the responsibilities or the challenges with regards to the job or to the new role that they have been assigned to. So now, in that light, it is imperative that the organization assigns or assigns or allocates through some funds for training for that staff, in order for that staff to be upskilled and function effectively well. And in the event where in some events, some staffs are encouraged to go out of their way to take some personal development training. So you're not just sitting there and waiting for the organization to send you on a training. So everything the organization must do it for you. So as HR officers, you must ensure to encourage staffs to prepare. Of course, there's a personal development plan as well as organizational development plan. Each party is supposed to have their own. So what I mean by that is each employees are supposed to have their own personal development plan, learning and development plan. So they are continuously learning. They are not still. They're not just sitting down and waiting until the HR department comes up with a training for them before they get trained. No, they continuously upskill themselves and grow, learning new technologies. Then, with regards to the organization has also a plan to train the staffs So it can be once in 6 months or once yearly, to help the staff skill to remain relevant with the current day technology, and as well as function effectively well on their role. Okay, then brings us to the seventh part. So at this point, so the seventh part, which is the training. Okay, so the trainings also need for productivity, improved quality, as well as products and services. So what the training does is also that it improves productivity, the productivity of the staffs. It also improves the quality of service provided by the staffs. So now at this time, talking about, let's say I'm talking about customer service, customer relations, customer retentions. So at this time, the trainings are provided to the staffs to improve their capacity. I think so once the previous weeks we had some training with regards to customer service retention and loyalty management. We discussed extensively about that, and even business development. So, but this is where what those training will do to improve the capacity of employees to function adequately on those roles. Then we'll talk about to help the company fulfill its future personnel needs. Yes, trainings would always help with regards to its future personnel needs, what is required. So it's not just about people. Now, when we're talking about helping the company to fulfill its future personnel needs, what we are making reference to there is the personnel function for that is at in a given capacity. They solve a particular problem for the organization. So that training is preparing the staffs to function or to solve a problem for the organization in the as they come or in the near future. So I think that is that. Then it also improves the optional climate, so there are no issues around within the space. Then we'll talk about improving health and safety. Yes, in where HSC is paramount, so the continuous safety regulations are to be followed, and continuous training is also ensured. So of course, it prevents issues. So by following health and safety policies, it means that HSC regulations will practically be improved on. So I think that is that there are a list of other things with regards to the needs for training. So, but having discussed at length on that, let us just go ahead and discuss on methods of training. Right? There are various methods for training employees, and among the two, among the list, we picked up just two major methods of training. So, we have the on-the-job training. I'm going to be talking about off-the-job training. So, we're considering two major aspects of training, two major methods of training, which is on the job training and as well as off the job training. Now, let's go ahead to talk about the on the job training. We're starting with on the job training and types of on job training that we would work employees through. So, now, what is on the job training? Now, it's practically a job instruction training that helps, of course, that's most continuously and used method. So now, when we have a method of doing a job, like this is how we do a job, this is how we do this. Take, for instance, if we have a bakery. Now, so we have a recipe procedure, right? We have a recipe that we use to produce this or to maybe to produce the cake. So to bake the cake. So now in order to make the cake, with this not to get the same quality. So it's not just about making the cake to keep quality consistent because if we are selling to the public, it's not like it's not like what we're consuming personally or within the workspace. This is what we sell to customers. So now you must maintain that level of consistency, that level of quality, and that level of standard. So now in doing that, in standardizing the quality of services, product and services provided by the organization, they come up with a template, a measurable template, so such that every single thing, once you follow the procedure, follow the process, you get the same result. Each time, if you do it over and over again, 100 times, 1,000 times, 10,000 times, the result will still be the same. Mix with this quantity, do this after 5 minutes, do this as keep stirring for 5 minutes, or do this. So by the time they follow the same procedure over and over again, the same result in 30, heat for 30 minutes at social temperature. So they position and heat for the same thing. So it comes out the same. But by the time it exceeds, there's a difference, and the difference will show. it will tell. So that's the main thing. So as there's no, so when the measurement, all the measurements are equal and the same, we get the same result. So there's a pattern that is being followed to handle a regular job. So now we say under this method, the individual is placed on a regular job, taught the skills necessary to perform the job, and they transfer the learning, of course, to either through the supervisor or guidelines of qualified workers and instructors on the job. So this is typically where you see people working on routine, that this on the job training is the same thing, of course, the same thing that they keep working on, right, on consistent basis. But and also on that, that does not necessarily mean that people would not do the same thing consistently. That is not on the job training. It is still on the job training. Now, I want to give another example of still on the job training. Now, they don't have to follow the same recipe to deliver the same result. That's just example one. So now, somebody, but you have someone who guides you and say, okay, this is how to do it. When you want to do this thing, this is how to do it. There's someone guiding you, there's a supervisor. So we're not using a training manual now. So, right, the first time we talked about is working with a manual, working with a standard, a set policy and standard. That's the first one we considered. And this second one, so now we're not just working with a manual and a standard. Also, we have someone that we are working with. So that keep giving out the instruction on what to do each time. So we do, when we follow those instructions that is meted out, we deliver. So when we put these two together, we find out that both of them are still the same thing. It's just about what? Following standards, following principles, following instructions, following regulations, following measurements. That's just what on the job training would be. Of course, you are already on the job doing it, right? That's what a major difference there. Of course, we're going to be differentiating that afterwards with the after job training. So this one, we are on the job. You are right on the job, doing it, and so and at the end of the day, you're getting the desired results. So I say, why on the job training, the person can be making the mistake, and at the end of the day, well, the losses are. So that's why we have put those regulations, standards, procedures, and policies in place to ensure that the losses are caught. So that we don't, not because we are doing on the job training, the option will not be incurring losses. So that is also very much important to note there. Okay, so now that's types of on-the-job training. We have the job instruction training. I was just giving a lot of details already. So we have one of them. One type of the on-the-job training is job instruction training, and in this method of training is also known as training step by step. That is, under this method, the trainer explains how to the trainee the ways of doing the job, right? The job knowledge, skills, and allow him to do the job. So when the trainer trains the job, they show them how to do the job. They tell them how to do the job. They give them the required knowledge, or they impact in them the required knowledge and upskill them to do the job, and they lead them to do the job, right? So that's exactly how it does. So for some people, it is already documented. They ask you, just follow the principle, follow the document. You follow the documented process there, you get the same result. That is just it. Once you deviate from it, you're going to get a different result. So if you're not getting the result as it is, so there is somewhere you're making, that's the employee is making the mistake. So they just have to ensure that every single thing is followed, because this is something that has been done over and over and over, and the region have now certified that this is the standard that they want to set, and they remain on that standard. That's level of, they remain on that standard. So by doing that, they have documented it and consistently utilizing it. It has given them the same result. So you cannot come tomorrow and say you're not getting the same result and you're doing the same thing. Something is wrong somewhere. So it means that there's one thing that might be happening with the new employee who's getting a different result. Either they are not paying attention to they are not paying and doing detailed what was instructed to them, or they are busy doing something different from what has been given to them to do, or they don't even know what they are supposed to do at all. Then, secondly, the second type of on-the-job training is the vestible training. Now, this method of training or is an actual work condition and is stimulated like in a classroom condition, right? So it's more like a classroom condition. Of course, we have materials, files, equipment, which are used in the actual job performance in order to train these employees. This type of training, of course, is commonly used on training personnel for clerical and semi-skilled jobs. So when we have clerical jobs, of course, maybe these are the type of training that's this they refer to in the vestibule training. Now, where equipment files and the rest of manuals are brought in place in order to train that employee. Okay, then we'll go ahead to talk about the simulation training. So the simulation training is more like the real situation of work environment in an organization is presented in the training session. So we have it's not like it's an ideal one. So we're saying the real life. So it's not like this is what is expected or this is. So we help the trainees to experience the real situation or this real workplace environment. Um, I mean, that's while they're during the training process. So it's more like, okay, they feel it before they go out. Now, take for instance, those who work with the space travel companies. Now, in this space travel company, so they have they bring the people who are to travel, they bring them, so they feel what it is to be out of Earth. So they feel it here first before they get there. So you're not, it's not until you get to that particular environment before you know what it is like. So you know what it is like right while you are here before you embark on the journey, before you undertake such job. So that's exactly what it is like. Before they undertake such job, they already know what it is like. They already have tested it. One of the ways where these things are done, take for instance, I'll give an example with using engineering, where the engineering students are taken to their school foundries, their school workshops. So the students work in the workshop. So it's more like they see how the workshop, the foundries operate, and the rest of that. Now is they see the how these machines run in those places. Yes, but that's still not typically of what the workplaces look at. But at least it helps them to have a good understanding of what is expected of them within the workspace. So they don't just come and say, okay, the machines should be like this or it should look like this. Once they see, they already know what the machine is like, they know how to operate it, how to maintain it, how to run such machine, man the machine effectively well, and perform on the job. So that is that there. So let's go ahead and talk about job rotation. Job rotation is another form of on-the-job training where people are rotated on a job. Now, I worked. There was a place where I worked earlier in my career where we were rotated through different departments, right? That's within the banking sector. So we're rotated through the banking sector through the different departments. So you work today in cash, possibly in the among the tellers who make payments, who pay the customers. Then after some weeks, you are moved to the bulk room where we receive the cash accounting. After some weeks, you're moved again out of that place. You're moved to the checks, people who receive check and process the checks. After that, you moved away from there to customer service, to ATM. So that's on the job training where you're moving people all around, try so that they experience the various departments within the workspace. So at the end of the day, but there's a benefit to this type when there's a benefit to this type of training. What the organization tends to achieve in this place means it's just one thing, that no one is from it. No one is indispensable. That's one thing here. But yes, they are trying to do that. No one is indispensable. What it also does is that it prepares everyone for leadership role at the same time. So by the time you have known every single thing that is happening in that role, tomorrow they might just ask you, yeah, go and man that place, or your supervisor is going on leave, go and sit down there and deputize for your supervisor until they are back, or hold up for your supervisor until they are back. And you go there and you perform effectively because you already know what is going on in that place. All it just requires just a guide, brief guideline, and you are effectively working in that place. So take for instance, there's a temporal if there's a temporal shortfall of manpower. Take for instance, people just resign or people relocate out of the country, and abrupt resignation. So in that instance, it's not going to shock the branch. It's not going to shock them because why? If somebody was working in maybe where some people are there are more people in cash, and there are less people at the ATM. So people who left were left from the ATM. So because people who are working in cash already know, so you can just quickly pull people from there. Go and stay in this department in the meantime while we're able to sort out and balance the manpower issues. So at that time, so there's no that particular department is not just left non-functional because people left there abruptly and resigned. So in that instance, so the option is saved at that time. The same thing it is for the staff. So we don't have redundancies. So now, take for instance, before we say and the staff is redundant, they're just coming and just loitering around, not doing anything, doing workspace. So because they've been moved around, it's easy for us to move that is change their job description or move them to a particular department where there is an increased workflow or there's an increased demand for manpower. So at that instance, so that's job rotation, where job rotation can come in and also can help with that can help the option and also the staff. So now another benefit of job rotation here is that now when jobs are rotated as well, so when it gets to this desk, okay, so we are moving this maybe there's a document that is supposed to be processed, so move from this desk to this desk to this desk. By the time it's moving, every single person gets to understand what it entails in order to that's for a complete procedure to be followed. So now, if I want to be signing off on this particular document, means it must have gone through this, gone through this, gone through this. So at the end of the day, it's completed. So every single person understands what the process looks like. That's another benefit of what job rotation would provide to an organization. So I think that's that. So every single person have different job assignments, uh, and it's okay. Now let's go on to talk on the next one. So coaching. So now what coaching will do with regards to still on the job training, saying that the trainee is placed under a particular supervisor who functions as a coach in training the individual. So and in this stage, so the supervisor keep providing feedback on. So the trainee goes ahead to do like engage with activities. So the supervisor keeps on assessing the job that they have done and continuously until they get better at it, until they become strong at what they are doing and function effectively well on those roles. So they keep offering them suggestions and ways to improve on the job. Then on the list, finally on the list of the on-the-job training is apprenticeship. So of course, this is a structured process by which people become skilled workers through a combination of classroom instructions and as well as on-the-job training. Of course, this is widely used to train individuals for many occupations. Now, the apprenticeship system is something that is much more that we see on a regular basis. So it's something that will stand in the classroom, will take on the job training. So both of them is a combination. So we put them together and we have the learn the theory, we also learn the practical, put them together and we get a better result. So these are the list of the on the job training. So I'll just take the list again. So we'll say that the methods of on the job training would include the job instruction training where instructions are given out, and the vestibular training, the simulation training, the job rotation training, then the coaching training, and as well as the apprenticeship training. Okay, so that said, I want us to just go ahead, move on to the next one, talk about the off the job training. So now, off the job training, what would we say it is? So under this particular training, the trainee is separated from the job situation and his attention is focused on learning the material related to his future job performance or job function. So now this is the more like this is completely different from on the job training. With on the job training, the trainee is on the job, working on the job and delivering and while learning, while improving on the job. But off the job training, they are not the same thing. Off the job training provides the trainee the opportunity to leave the job or not be on the job, but focus all their attention. In order to focus all their attention on the learning material or what they are required to learn, right? And oftentimes this is for future responsibilities or future or future objectives. So now take for instance, I have been making mention about in case the election is looking to where people are promoted for certain roles, maybe for they are going to be promoted to become supervisors. So they ask them to go on a 3 months course. So they go on a 3 months leadership course. So during that particular time, they take that. If that's for a leadership course that they have to like an MBA and the rest of that, they take out the time and focus on that particular MBA and they achieve it, and they come back and they implement all that they have learned on the business. Then another one For instance, let's talk about engineering and technology. So where I made mention where the training is that is arranged to either visit the technology where the origin the origin of the machine, that's the country of origin. So they visit those places. Take for instance, if the machine is originating from India, so or originating from Germany, so the trainees are prepared and they have to visit the country of origin of that machine. So they or of that technology. So they visit there and they are trained there. So they learn firsthand. So it's not like okay, this is just so they take them there, they learn, ask questions, and they are grounded on the job and they come back and they man. So at that time, so they have been separated. So they're not. It's not like they are working and at the same time they are learning. So they are removed. So they just go there, fully focus on it, and come back here and deliver on the role. So that's that. So what are the methods of the job training? Of course, we have the lecture approach. Then we have there's a lecture approach where of course we'll have the lecturer and the students method of having conversation or instructions where the lecturer issues instructions and the student goes ahead to do that or like as an instructor. Okay, so now that aside, we'll be discussing details about that. Then we'll have the conference or the discussion. So now we'll have this kind of approaches of the job where we'll have some seminars, we'll have some workshops. Now at that times, at those times, there's always a down to so for people to attend those seminars and attend those workshops, learn all that is required, and come back and attend to their job. So oftentimes, so it might just be like a 1 day workshop, or a 1 day seminar, or a 2 day seminar on that particular role. So somebody comes, trains them on that particular. So they down to during that particular time. They are not on their job. They hands off the job, focus on the training, and so they can get better and function on the role. So then we'll go ahead to talk about the other one. That's the case discussion. Right. And the case discussion study, that's the case discussion study or the case study method focuses on problems. So now there's a specific problem in the organization. So now take for instance, in this machine has been given problem or something has a technology has been given problem and the organization decides we're going to do something about it. So now they set out time. It means that they are going to just lead the machine and they focus and begin to study that machine, study the problem, study what the issue is in order to provide adequate solution to it. So at that time, they leave out every single thing about the machine and focus on the on what the issue is. So they try to investigate why they are trying to investigate. So they are learning, they are discovering what the issues are, and at the end of the day, they get on to fixing what the problem is. So then we'll go ahead to talk about role play. Role play is another one where people take the roles, or possibly maybe let's say it's a client and a client customer relationship or a client service a client service rep relationship. So now at that time they switch roles. Another one is maybe like sales. We're trying to train people on sales and marketing. So ask them to play the role. So they go ahead and play the roles. So one person plays the customer, the other person plays the one person plays that's a prospective customer, another person plays the salesperson. So while that particular conversation is going, so I pitch you for more like what I did. So I play the salesperson, play the customer. So I pitch you, I try to market the product or the services to you. So while we're saying I'm learning while I'm trying to pitch you, you are also learning from my own mistakes, right? Because we are putting ourselves in real life situations where you play the customer and I play the salesperson and vice versa. I play the customer, you play. So by the time we do that over and over again, we get better at it. Then people, other team members who are looking at us also gain. They see the mistakes, they see the flaws, and they improve on the role. So that's a role play training. So it's not like okay, so it's a role play training where people practicalize what it is that they're supposed to do and they implement it. Now, take for instance, if it is on machines. Now, at that stage, what will happen is that the machines are brought, we'll begin to operate those machines, see those machines. We'll see this practically maybe within the technicians and the rest of that. So it's not like something that is discussed or described. You see them, so they'll bring the machines, start assembling the machines and reassembling the machines. So by doing that, they get to understand, they learn how to assemble and to disassemble the machines. So that is that. Then another one on the list is the programmed instruction. So there's a program follow through the instruction. I think we've discussed earlier about it. I'm not going to go into details on it again. An instruction just follow the manual, right? Follow the manual, and you already know that by following this manual, you get this result. So oftentimes this is more like for installation, commissioning. We see this play out more importantly where we when we purchase gadgets, and I'm talking about um some of the like our everyday experience where we must have experienced it. When we purchase some gadgets, maybe within the home, maybe some gadgets for home or for offices, trying to set up the printer. So we follow the manual. So we set them up. So the IT person comes, follows and the manual and sets up. So that's a programmed instruction. Just follow it and get it done. Sometimes those programmed instruction can just be in a disk, in a software. You just slot in the software, put in the codes, and it begins to run automatically and sets up the system. That's so it could be a software, it could be a hardware, or we could just have to do them by ourselves. So I just gave different instances of programmed instruction. Then sixth on the list is group or sensitive training. So in this particular method, it aims to influence an individual behavior through group discussion. So now we can just bring up a certain can bring up a certain conversation in order to influence or in order to change the perspective or help people improve on something. I just made mention about that slightly when I was explaining the role play training type. So you have a similarity of it in the group discussion. So there's a group. So certain conversations are brought up so that the people can participate. And while they are having the conversation, they are learning from that conversation. So that's what that group training will do. Okay, then we'll go ahead to talk about the in basket training. So in this method, to acquaint employees about their job. So where a number of problems are kept in the basket, usually kept on the desk of the employee. So the worker now goes ahead, has to look at the problems which could also be the complaints from different employees, and as well as simultaneously deal with those problems. So in this one, so it's more like okay, they bring a basket and label them with certain issues. So the employee brings up and then speaks each of them and tries to profile solutions to it. So this practically tries to help with the ability to solve situations, could be right on their feet to provide solutions to issues or to provide solutions to certain challenges within the workspace. So that's what the in-basket training could achieve. So I think thus far it's much more detailed. So we've discussed about the on-the-job training, and we've also discussed about off-the-job training. And in the off-the-job training, we talked about the lecture method of off-the-job training, conference method or discussion methods of training, then the case discussion methods, as well as the role play discussion methods. Talk about the programmed instruction method, then the group sensitive discussion method, and as well as the in-basket training. So these are the various types of off-the-job training that we also considered, making it the second part of the on-the-job and the off-the-job training that we just fully consider. Okay, now in delivering this, let's just go ahead to the next point, which is on career planning. So now let's career planning. What exactly we would say career planning is about? So now career planning is the self-evaluation and planning done by a person to have a strong career path. So the career planning process is that's in the continuous iterative process of understanding oneself, and as well as settling career goals, revising skills, and as well as searching for the right career options. So now, what exactly, when we're talking about career planning, what exactly are we saying here? So now, the individual or the employees are made to, of course, are made to assess themselves. So, but these are for individuals. Now, as HR personnel, how do we, how does this concern us? So in this instance, career planning would be so this is the job. This is what's going to be the career path. How are they going to grow on this job? How are people who do this job going to grow? Right? Remember, we talked about the job description when we're providing job that's details of the job analysis when we're analyzing the job. So we're talking about we're also going to be planning the career. That's where a bit of career planning came into this conversation. So now we want to understand what is the relation of the, like, how are they supposed to grow on this job? Because for every single thing that everyone expects to grow. So if anyone is coming to work for the organization, they are also expecting to grow. So what's the success part, or what's the career growth part on of this job? So are they just going to keep doing it and it remains that way? So at that instance, how are they going to climb? How are they going to get to the peak of there's the peak ladder of their careers? So in that instance, it brings us to career planning. So whatever how we're able to discuss that or create that clear path where they can climb to the top of their career. So we know, okay, this is where it leads to. Then that's what practically career planning means. Then we can be able to give the people assurance on working and growing with the organization. So now, one of the major benefits that's among the list of importance and benefits of career planning is that it will attract competent persons and retain them in the organization. Now, when people come into the organization and they cannot understand where they're going to be in the next 5 years, right? If they put in the hard work, if they put in the work and achieve the results, so they cannot see where they are going to be in the next 5 years, and it's not motivating enough, they are looking elsewhere immediately. So that's why, as HR personnel, it's very much important that people should be able to record significant growth within 2 years, within 4 years, 5 years of joining the organization. That's what career planning means. So where if we join organizations where this is not in place, we can advise on by once we have created a path, we can pass them to of course that's if we don't have if there are no HR head of HR, or if you are the head of HR administration. So that's where it becomes on you to create that plan so the management can go ahead and approve of. So now we have different steps. So are they going to grow possibly from being normal team members to becoming captains of their teams, to becoming team leads, and to becoming unit leads, right? So from team leads to unit leads, then we can have possibly supervisors, that's departmental supervisors, and as well as departmental managers. Then, of course, they can now go ahead to become um, GMs. So now, in that instance, there's a clear path of growth, right? From from people who come in as fresh graduates, so they can grow to become captains of their teams, then become team leads, become unit leads, become supervisors, departmental supervisors, and become departmental managers, right? So it's very clear how they can grow. So now at that time, so what is the timeline to this growth? What is the timeline so that they can grow? And what is the benefit that is associated with the growth? So that is it. So if it's not properly distinguished, so that people understand where they are going to be in the next 5 years or in the next 10 years of joining the organization, then it's more like they are taking a journey to nowhere. So they want to leave and go elsewhere where they know, okay, that there's a clearly defined career path. Okay, now I'll go ahead to say, okay, that's second on the list is to provide suitable promotional opportunity, of course. So now, or not just only suitable promotional opportunity would be the reason of career planning, but not just only suitable that is promotional opportunity, but also a commensurate promotional opportunity. So based on what somebody, a commensurate contribution, so they have contributed immensely. So if they have so contributed well, there are people who they of course there are some organizations where the promotion of oftentimes the promotion is usually every 2 years, but some people have even been promoted in 6 months based on the enormosity there is enormity of not enormity of the results that they have brought in. So this you have a target of this is your target, more like your general target for 2 years, and you're delivering it in 6 months. You don't have any reason why you have to still stay there and wait until 2 years before you deliver it. So if you have oftentimes these are where you find this in regular practice is within the target based roles, more like you have the marketing and the sales. Oftentimes these are the guys that grow so fast within the career ladder. At they grow very fast because once they're able to deliver on the job role, take for instance, if their monthly targets, let's say the monthly target is 100 million and their annual target is 120. So in 2 years, their total target for the year is going to be 240 million, right? So if in 6 months, they've been able to deliver 300 million. So why there will be no rational reason why the organization will keep them in 6 months. There will be no rational reason why the organization will keep them where they are, because this they have properly showed that they can deliver on the role. But what some organizations will always do is to ensure that they don't move that employee so fast, such that they now, when they have been promoted, they now fall and they can no longer continue with that, or they cannot maintain consistency with such performance. So oftentimes they are given some time to ensure that you can perform on this level. Sometimes they intentionally scale their target beyond that and see if they can still maintain that consistency. And once that consistency has been maintained, you see, it's in this person, they have it, it's in them to naturally deliver on results. So by doing that, they are promoted instantly. So that's why you see people, while their mates are still on the job waiting for their 2 years, they have brought their own 2 years to 6 months. And in 6 months, they are there. Even in 1 year, they are moving. So you see people, while their mates are just still becoming captains, and they are already becoming departmental supervisors in 2 years because of the kind of results that they are able to get for their organization. So it's there. One of the benefits of it is that such kind of person is a highly effective and productive person. They will be able to replicate such results among new, because once they are promoted, they will be given a team. Such person will be given a team to mentor other people, teach them how they get their results, and by that, so that person is able to reproduce themselves among new that's among new team members that are assigned to them. So that's one of the benefits of it. Okay, so now we'll go ahead to talk about the importance among the list. So we say that it enables the employee to develop and to take of course readily future challenges. So one thing about career planning is that, so once someone have already known, okay, I'm expecting to become a team lead in the next 2 years. Okay, so I'm going to be a team lead. I'm going to be a departmental supervisor. So I don't wait until I become I'm made a supervisor. I already know that I'm preparing to become a supervisor in 2 years. So I begin to take some supervisory trainings. I begin to take some developmental trainings that will help me to function effectively well on that role. I don't want to get there and start saying I'm waiting for the organization to train me first so that I can function well there. So once I receive my promotion letter, in fact I'm hitting the ground running. That's exactly what it is. So people can prepare ahead and prepare themselves so they know what is they're expecting, and they prepare themselves for the promotion. Okay, fourth on the list is to increase the utilization of managerial reserves within the organization, of course, where every single person understands what is expected of them and they function effectively well, which the management team will not have a lot of headache in order to achieve cohesion. So there's proper cohesion among the cohesion, and as well as a synergy within the workspace. Every single one and person and systems are working effectively well. Now, fifth on the list of the importance of career planning is that it attracts employee placement. Yes, so it attracts employees, keep attracting new employees. So every day, there are some companies that when we hear their names, they are notable. Everyone wants to go and work there, right? Because they understand there's a proper career path. Then also they know that, okay, and not just only a proper career path, but it comes with commensurate rewards on effort. Then also we go ahead to talk about the next one. It says that it reduces employee dissatisfaction and turnover. Yes, if you know what is expected of you, and if you know what is expected of you in 2 years, and so you prepare yourself. So you are definitely, it's going to improve. And when you have prepared yourself and you're now functioning adequately well on that role, you are satisfied because you are delivering on your job. That's what it means. So then it will also improve the motivation and the morale of the employee. This is very much self-explanatory. Of course, when there's a proper career path for people to grow, of course they are motivated to work. They give in their best because this is what their target. This is their target. They are aiming to not to miss their promotion, and they get it, and they move forward. Okay, so now let's talk about the steps in career planning process. So now career planning process is an important aspect of an individual career development. Of course, one of them in the processes to career planning would be a self-assessment. So where we help individuals to self-assess themselves. So now, in order as HR people, this is how we help the workforce to in their career planning journey. So now there's already a clear career path, but we want to help them to also ensure that they work effectively well. So what we're going to be doing is that we can create questionnaires that will help people to effectively assess themselves. Most of us have worked in places where we receive questionnaires to assess our own self. So by our own self, we assess ourselves. So we can tell ourselves the truth. And when we know we are lying to ourselves, we know. So it's just for us to assess ourselves. It's just for the workforce. I mean the workforce themselves. I mean the employees to work to assess themselves. Now, so the HR provides those tools, provides those to be questionnaires, pass them around in the work to every of the employees. So they use it to assess themselves, know exactly what they are capable of doing, what they are currently doing, how effectively well they are currently doing. So that's what the self-assessment is going to help them. That's the knowledge it's going to reveal. By the time they are done taking the assessment, they understand all these things. Then it will also help them to understand, okay, where they are, where well they are, where what areas they have great skills at, then where they have come to develop so much, because for where they have been there, they were developing themselves at something. So and they have become better. So by the self-assessment, they understand, oh, they are practically moving in this direction, or and whatever direction they will now want to improve themselves, they will see where they are lagging behind and they can improve. Then they can also or discover their new interests, right, based on the things that they've been currently doing in the organization. They can also discover that they have come to have new interests that have been formed in the organization. Okay, then we'll go ahead to the steps. Second one is to there's research on careers. Now, as HR personnel, we can also go ahead and research on there's research other organization, research that's the growth options, research the like research other companies that are available, what's their career path, how do they grow, how do they structure their growth process and the rest of their career growth process. So we can research that and get information. So it helps us. So we might be saying, okay, how do we do the career planning? So that's what exactly we are saying here. So we can research other organizations, see how they have structured their own growth process, and also implement the same task if the management aligns with it. Then we'll go ahead to set career objectives. So now that's the third one. We can choose to set, we can now set career objectives. Now, short-term and long-term career objectives. So now for each individuals, they know what they want to do. So in the next 1 year or in the next 6 months, the trainings they want to take, the courses they want to take, the certificates they want to acquire, these are the new skills they want to build on. So these are the things that is going to be done, the ones that they will do by themselves, the one that the organization is going to be doing on the short term and also on the long term. So the 6 months plan, the 1 year, the 2 year plan, the 5 year plan. So each person is able to create this and they begin to improve on themselves. So at the end of 6 months, that self-assessment questionnaire is passed. At the end of 1 year, that self-assessment questionnaire is also passed again. So they can help them, they can now assess, to help them to self-assess what we discussed earlier in this. So this is how the 1, 2, and 3 are connecting now. Then we'll go ahead to talk about 4. So now that they have set career objective, it brings us to the fourth one, where they can now learn and improve based on the objective that they have set for themselves in 6 months' time, where I want to be, what I want to be doing, what I want to learn how to do in the next 6 months. So by doing that, I'm now implementing. So the fourth one is talking about implementation. So we're implementing and improving our skills, implementing and improving our capacity, the skills to learn. So that's what, as HR, these are the things that we're helping the employees do, such that at the end of the day they can function effectively well. Then 5, that's the next on this is to prepare their CV. That's the next step to is preparing their CVs and cover letters, of course, recommendations. So, but this particular one is now for the stars. Now they now have a new profile. So we just see that there is a new profile. Of course, when their skills level have been improved on, they can now prepare a new profile for themselves. That's what this one is practically saying. So a new profile is created, not like what they were, what and where they were in 2 years. That's prior the previous 2 years before they joined the organization, or the previous 5 years before they joined the organization. So when they check their new CV and they check their old CV, they can see an obvious difference. That's what career planning will do. So when they check their CV 5 years ago and their CV of their current CV today, when they look at both of them, they can see the significant progress. They can see all that they have been able to achieve, all they've been able to accomplish career-wise, right? They can see it on their CV. So now, of course, when it comes to another one is on the job, that's the job search, and as well as revising the career goals. So now let's just I move to the last one, which is revising the career goals. So now, by the time we go ahead to consistently do an assessment that's as HR officers, we pass the assessments to each of these staff, and they go through it. They go through they go through it and provide feedback, honest feedback to themselves. So they see where they are lagging behind. They can now revisit their career goals, see if actually this is the right direction they want to go, or if they've left that and veered into a different direction automatically. So that is the bulk of it. So the benefit, another benefits of career planning is that it will ensure that the employees take trainings that are relevant to where they want to be in the next 2 years, in the next 5 years. So they don't go ahead taking trainings that are outside of where they want to be in the next 2 years or in the next 5 years. That's very much important. Okay, I think that says, well, it brings us to a closure on all that we have just spoken. So I'll just make a run. I'll just run through the details of the career planning process I just talked about. I talked about self-assessment, research and career goals. Then assess set career objective, learn on learn and improve on the skills, as well as prepare. That's preparing the CVs. Then we'll go ahead to talk about revisiting career goals. So at this time, it brings us to a closing. So I want to now take questions. Please go ahead and drop your questions. I want to reply to your questions at this time. So let me have whatever questions that you want with regards to the career development. So we discussed also we've discussed on learning, training, and development. So all these are the things that we discussed thus far in the recruitment process. Starting, remember when we started ahead, please you can just drop your questions while I'm talking, except we do not have any question. So by the time I'm done, of course, we'll be running up the session if there will be no question. So, but earlier I was saying that in this training, we've considered where we've been coming from. We've considered recruitment, that's the details of recruitment. There's introduction to human resource management. We went ahead to talk about the human resource planning. We also considered job analysis. We considered job description, job specification, job design. Then we went on to talk about recruitment selection and onboarding. And today we are talking about learning, training, and development. So I think that this has brought us to a full end of all the trainings that we want to consider in the human resource. So what is just left out is about the labor law, which definitely will be shared. So you can just independently go through the labor materials and you can ask your questions where need be. Okay, I think there are no questions because up until now I've not gotten any questions. So I assume that we've understood all that was thus far. Okay. So now I think someone says something. Says, can we speak on this routine that is routine on the job? Looks like for someone handling or managing a sales team. Okay. Talking about training on the job for someone who is managing sales team. Um, if I put that together, one of the major things I would say here is the best part to train people would be training them on the job. The best part will be a role play training. That's the best way of training your sales team. Role sales training. That's one of the major ways that we use in training, the most effective way that we use to train. So, and with it, I think I already made mention of it while I was having that, while I was discussing that's the methods of training. So the rule-based type of training and the group type of training, that's the group and the rule-based type of training. We're going to be combining them together. So now let me give you an instance about that. So now we're bringing them as a group. We're bringing the team together. So now, when we bring the team together to train them together and not individually, we bring them together. We pick two persons. So one person is going to act the customer or the prospective customer. Another person is going to now act another person is going to act the salesperson or the salesman. So each of them, so when the role is completed, they switch role. The same person who played the salesperson will play the customer, and vice versa. So while they are doing that, while they are at it, they are learning. Each person is learning. So for instance, if I approach you, each person is going to play it so professionally well. Going to play, either they are playing, of course, they're going to play different type of customers. You're going to have the difficult customers, people who don't have the attention. They will walk up to you, "Ah, please, I don't have time now. Reach out to me again in the next 1 hour." You call them in the next one, please come again. Please, I don't have time. I don't have time. So now, how do they work on this? So by that, while they are having that practical session, the suggestions are coming up in the group. So people are now suggesting, okay, should it be done like this? Let's do it like this, because the I'm not making it much more particular because I don't know the product or the service that you sell. Now, if as an organization, if we were contracted to handle such for you, what we're going to be doing is to study what you do and how best it is to train your staff to handle their sales responsibilities. So that's how we do it, or that's our approach to delivering such kind of training and ensuring your team is effective with regards to sales. So that's how we do it. But I just giving you a tip on how you can do that. So based on, you can now tailor it based on the kind of product and the service that you sell. So it's of course it's going to be unique. So the challenges that the salespeople will always experience is going to be unique to the kind of product and the services, and as well as the environment or the client base that the company or the organization sells to. So now their experiences are going to be unique. So now take for instance, if the product and the services of the organization is to the high end or the high end society of the that is the high end people of the community of the country. And I'm making reference to like the elites and the, let's say, the super rich or people within that class. So the way the experiences are not going to be the same. The customer service, the sales, and the pitching is everything is not going to be the same. The places, the pattern of pitching, in fact, the process of sales is going to be different. The same thing it is. Take for instance the products. So now, if it's going to be if it's an FMCG product or an agro product or a technology product, so it's just going to be different. They're not going to be the same thing. If we're selling an agro product, we're not going to sell it the same way, or we're not going to be pitching the same way we're selling a technology product. They are completely going to be entirely different. So in that instance, our the training in training our team members to sell effectively well, we have to it's definitely going to be unique, and we have to tailor it to match what we actually sell. I think that makes more sense. And of course, maybe you can reach out to your organization should you need support, or should your organization need support with training your team members with that. But one of, like I just always like I've made mention, I've given you suggestion, is that and just utilize the group training as well as the role-based training. It is one of the most effective ways of training the sales team members. Group-based and role-based training. When they personalize this, of course, you see how effective it will be. You can monitor for results and see it improve. Okay, now let's go on to the next question from. I think the question I just answered right now, that was the question from Michael. So please, in case you do, maybe you require further support with that, you can just um, reach out to the contact line on our that is on the website of our organization. That's choicetalents.com.ng. So if you reach out, the contacts, then once you reach out, they could guide you. That's in case your organization is looking for consultancy services with regards to training their team members. That is that. Then we'll go ahead to talk about the person from Alison says, please, someone that did study in HR, how possible is it for him to get certified and employed as an HR? Okay, of course, there are courses that can be taken. Courses, take trainings in HR. You take your so that is the basic courses in HR. Then you go out, you start out to implement. So now, how do you start out to implement? Of course, there are trainees, there are training programs where for HR. So when you start out, when you have taken courses or trainings on HR, then you can look for start out with positions of on HR training. Then from HR training, you learn, you improve. As you're doing the job, you're getting better. You come to understand the practical aspect of HR. Then once that is done, you can now begin to talk about your that's the professional certifications, because those professional certification expects that you have experience already on the role before you begin to talk about professional certifications. So I think that's that, because that professional certification practically means membership, and they're certifying that, oh, you already know, you know how to implement this thing very well. That's why they're certifying that you have this knowledge. So it means that you may have your basic training certificates. That's different from the professional certification and membership. They are completely two different things. So you take the trainings, like trainings training now, take the trainings, get certificates on this training. You take training positions, that's HR graduate training positions, learn, improve on the job, learn, or that just keep improving on the job. Then at the end of the day, while you have gathered years of experience, you can now go for your certification in human resource management. I think that answers the question, Victoria. So, in case there are other questions that you may require, you can always reach out to the organization's uh, uh, contact line, and they'll provide you with any response that you need so far. And of course, the certifications will also help. We can help you with the HR certifications as well. So it all depends on whatever it is. Just reach out to the contact line of the organization, and they will definitely provide you with the required support that you need. Okay, I think I've answered that question, and there are no further questions afterwards. So we'll be bringing this session to a close, and it's been awesome having. Okay, okay. Oh, okay. Thank you so much, Adewale. Also, thank you. Also, thank you. Okay, so thank you very much. Thank you, Victoria. I appreciate that, and that's awesome. So, it's been great having this session. So we might have we'll definitely be having more like a makeup class for everyone who missed out all through the week. So we might just have that general makeup class possibly tomorrow. Then we also have because we're going to be running through um, the legal part of it, which is the labor law. So we're going to be considering that labor law tomorrow. So I think that is that. So I think someone is talking about the contact. So are you in the group chat, Alison? Are you in the are you in the group chat? So could, okay, I will just type that there. So you can always send a chat on WhatsApp. So I'm just going to include the options contact number on WhatsApp. So I'm going to include it on the comment section now. So that's okay. So it's on WhatsApp. Okay. So I just dropped the options contact number on WhatsApp. So you can always chat and have maybe make any inquiry or also request further support or assistance there. So you get whatever support that you need. So I think that's the contact details there. So you can always make reference to it. So it's been awesome having this session with you guys. We'll be having the concluding part tomorrow where we'll be talking about the labor law and as well as a run through of all that we've done thus far this week. So enjoy the rest of your time. Thank you so much participating.